There. Okay. Hello, hello. I wanted to share with you how I like to paint. I am having technical difficulties a little bit, and so I'm all out of sorts. Okay. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Lisa Christensen, and I am the admin for the Watercolor Card Facebook group. And I painted this a little while ago. I'll see if I can't get it to focus a little bit better. And it's quite a beautiful painting of cosmos. This is an actual stamp, and I stamped it with archival ink. And then I painted Manganese Blue and then Quinn Violet. And so I thought I would paint this one for you, but I also am making a bookmark. And so if you don't have the stamp, you can always draw some cosmos, and I will show you how I like to do that. And this is not autofocusing, so that's going to drive me a little bit crazy, but hopefully it'll autofocus. And I'm using a brand new camera, so it's really interesting how sometimes it focuses and sometimes it's not. So bear with me on this. I don't know, I might have to re-record this, but we'll go with what we got. Okay, so I'm painting one of my favorite flowers, and I got Quinn Violet from Blick Art, and then Manganese Blue. Manganese Blue is quite an interesting color. I don't use it often in my paintings, but I love using it because it's phthalo blue, which I'm not a huge fan of phthalo blue, and then titanium white. So it's quite unique in that aspect that it gives you like the punch of blue, but then it's a little opaque with the titanium white. So it's kind of fun. And then I just use yellow ochre or whatever yellows on my palette to add to the middle of the cosmos. And cosmos are all different colors. So if you don't have Quinn Violet, you can use any purple that you have. And you'll see on my palette, I have a couple of different purples. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and then get started for you. That should be more than enough room to see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm excited to get started. All right, I'm just using a simple medium round brush. This is a number 6 round. It really doesn't have to be, but so for I like to start with the background first. I think most artists do. And I'm just going to get it wet. You've seen me negative paint skies before, I hope. And if not, this is a really fun, I think it's very therapeutic, to be quite honest. And I'm just wetting around the flowers first. This was like one of the first techniques I learned that I just love. And I don't know why I love this technique, but I just do. I think in watercolor, if you want to be if you want to succeed in watercolor, you're going to want to know how to negative paint. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just negative painting with water first. So that's the only catch. All right. And I already have Manganese Blue on my palette. It's right here. And you can already see that phthalo blue, can't you? Isn't that just gorgeous? But it has titanium white in it. So it's just a really fun. And I just like to kind of let the water do the heavy lifting, meaning it's just going to whoosh all over the paper. And I'm just letting it flow. The loose and fluid part is this part right here where you just let the watercolor do its thing. Oh, and I'm just going to splatter a little bit. And then with a clean, wet brush, I'm going to just kind of move this water around a little bit more. And right here is where I want a sentiment. So I'm paying a little bit of attention because I don't want it to be too dark. But I like that. Now I'm going to go in. Let's see a little bit more blue where I missed. I think the hardest part about painting with watercolor is knowing your water to pigment ratio. And right now this is a tea-like consistency. So it's a wash. It's not It's not milky, it's not buttery, it's a tea-like consistency. And remember, in watercolor, you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So always go light to dark. And watercolor is meant to be translucent. So that's where the beauty comes in. Use more water. Water is your friend. I'm just going around this part right here because I want this to be kind of the focal point, which means I need this to be really blue. And that's why you don't see me wetting it very much. All right. I'm taking a fairly clean, damp brush, and I'm going around the flowers. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more blue over here. And over here. When the watercolor doesn't start to spread, that means you don't have enough water or enough pigment on your brush, and so you just want to dip some more in. All right, that's looking really good. I love Manganese Blue. Look at that. It's just a perfect spring blue in my opinion. Isn't that gorgeous? I would say yes, yes it is. Quite gorgeous. It's still not focusing there. There. Okay. So now I'm going to share with you how I like to draw my cosmos. So this is a stamp, and the illustrator did an awesome job, and I love the stamp. The stamp came from Tailored Expressions. It's called Field Note Cosmos, and it's just beautiful. However, if you are not a stamper and you like to draw I'm going to share with you a simple way to draw. So this is my Cosmo drawing. I'm making a bookmark for my mother-in-law, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would draw a Cosmo. So if I'm going to draw a Cosmo, it's a circle. It's a circle flower. This is a terrible circle, but you'll get the idea. And I always like to use my kneaded eraser, and it's around here. Maybe it may have fallen. I'll find it. I'll get a new one. I'll use my triangle eraser. All right, so I got my two circles. This outer circle is where I don't want my and I'm just going to start drawing. Maybe it's curving up that way, so I can make so a Cosmo really has it's just like a star circle shape, the circle shape, but then the petals kind of go out in a star. And so it's not hard to draw florals. All right, and then I'm going to draw another one, maybe this way, and maybe the center is out that way. So, and if I had a live Cosmo, I would totally be looking at that Cosmo, but I don't. And this is more for like watercolor. Yeah. And then I'm going to go around this way, and I'm going to do the same thing because I don't think a bookmark really needs much of a sentiment. But I do want to be able to. So I'm just blocking in my big shapes right here. Hopefully that is making sense. All right, and then I'm going to go back in. And this is just loose. It's very loose. Like if you know how to draw your flowers and you know your shapes of the flowers, then just have fun with it. If you are new to shapes and what flowers have different shapes, pay attention to that. I have a couple really good books that I'll show you in just a second. Yeah. All right. And then so here's the middle. If anyone ever follows Christy Rice, not Karen Rice. Karen Rice is a landscape watercolorist, but Christy Rice is a floral watercolorist, and she does a great job. Christy Rice has like a huge floral watercolor like illustrator. She's awesome. She does a lot of weddings invitations, and I've followed a couple of her tutorials. She does really good work. Anyways, this is a very loose drawing. I think both of these will work. Now I can just go in and really erase a whole lot of my lines. I just wanted a guide. And by all means, if you are not someone that likes to draw, buy a stamp. I started watercoloring with stamps, and then I've gotten better about drawing. I don't feel like I'm 100% perfect at drawing, but I also think watercolor should be loose and fun, and I don't think it matters, because then I'm going to also go in with an ink and clean it up. Okay, so there's that. This one I probably, you can kind of tell whenever I'm on video, I'm teaching and I'm not actually creating art, and so my lines can kind of sometimes look funky. But the nice thing about Cosmos that I love is Cosmos petals, they're always so different. There's never the same shape, and so that's what makes drawing Cosmos so fun, because it's loose and fluid. Okay, so kind of same thing. I'm just gonna real quickly go in and do the same technique, but maybe I'm going to be a little bit more loose and free with the bookmarks, because bookmarks can just be, I think bookmarks are so much fun to paint. So I got them both wet pretty well. I'm going to go in with my Manganese Blue, and I'm just going to add, and I'm going to add ink to my petals. So as long as I get the essence of the sky, or of whatever background. You could do green too. I think Cascade Green from Daniel Smith would look really pretty in this too. But I chose Manganese Blue because, well, darn it. To be quite honest, I haven't been playing with Manganese Blue, and I was totally inspired by Manganese Blue this spring. And I thought, oh, how can I not want to paint with Manganese Blue when the sky is so gorgeous? And I felt like the sky was Manganese Blue. So there's that inspiration. Okay. There, that's pretty loose and fluid. That's all I'm going to do for that one. I'm going to let those two dry, and I'm going to go back to my Cosmos. And I'm going to paint. All right, I used Quinn Violet. And on my palette is a hibiscus, Daniel Smith hibiscus duochrome color. It might get into it, and that's going to add a little bit of sparkle. I'm actually really excited to see that sparkle. If you're wondering, I always like to paint with a towel underneath, because then I can just dab my watercolor wherever I'm at, which is kind of nice. But if you don't have it, just get a simple towel. Okay. Here's my Quinn Violet, and I did not use Quinn Violet for this one. I used a rose color. Let me get that one out. Sorry, it's a Quinn Magenta. Sometimes purples. There's my Quinn Magenta. I really like this. It has a unique color to it. It's not a rose, and it's not a violet. It's just and it's not even really red, but I'll show you on this scrap paper. It is just like yummy. I don't know. It's a bit more muted. It's not a bright magenta. It's very much muted. So anyways, kind of fun. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. Right now my brush is, I have some paint on my brush, which is fine. And I'm gonna go with the direction of the petal. So as if I'm growing the petal. Hope that makes sense. And then I'm going to dip in the Quinn magenta. I love these pigments because they are so potent. All right, so that's pretty light. I'm going to add some more here. And I don't like to tape my paper down because I like to move it. And if you're using good watercolor paper, 140-pound watercolor paper from Canson or Strathmore or Arches, even Arches definitely, then you'll be fine using not clipping it down. And I just like to move my paper around. There's some artists that always tape their paper, but then most of the artists that I follow, they're like, oh no, I don't do that. And I think it's because we like to paint looser, and so taping our paper down just means we are hindering our creativity, right? All right, so this flower is going to be darker, but right now I'm fine with it being all one tone because you got to start somewhere. Okay. And you'll notice that I'm not getting to the edge because I just want the water to blend. And then I'll add some back more pigment. It's a push and pull sort of thing. And right now I'm just working on the bigger shapes. I'll come back in with the darker values. And then we'll go in with some of that little bit of green. I really have fun painting florals because you can really have a lot of fun with it. And I love looking at florals. I love learning from plants. Okay. It's looking really good. I am loving this. I'm loving this darker magenta color. It's really adding to it. And I think I might actually use some of that purple to darken up a little bit. But once again, I have some green on my palette. It very well could be a Daniel Smith, like it's a Daniel Smith green, but I couldn't tell you what color. It might be jade. But I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of that green here. Here, I'll probably regret putting it when it's wet. But right now, I'm okay. Maybe I'll put some green right in there. Yeah, okay. We're going to let that be. And I'm going to go ahead and paint my 2 bookmarks. Now, granted, when I ink this, I can really have some fun because this is a bit more loose and fluid and I haven't inked it. So I can be a little bit more loose with this. In fact, I'm very much loose right now. And I'm probably going to wish I had a little bit more of a yellow center, but let's see. yeah, you know, it's interesting. Like I love painting with stamps because the work is kind of done for you. But wow, do you get a whole lot of extra creative freedom when you draw your flowers yourself. So I'd be curious to find out which one is your favorite. Okay. Yeah. And I think I went a little overboard over here. So we're going to clean that up. I think I can make that work. No. All right. This is about ready to put some yellow on. So I got some yellow ochre. And I also have some of this Quinn Gold. Quinn Gold is what I'm going to use for this. I really love Quinn Gold for the middle flowers. One of my, I don't know who, one of the tips I got from watching and learning from other artists is that Quinn Gold is like everyone's favorite yellow for florals. And I can see why, because the center of the florals, that when you use yellow, it's always like warmer, and Quinn Gold has this beautiful just color to them, and so it really works well. So if you're looking for a good yellow for florals, you almost always can't go wrong with Quinn Gold. And then it pairs nice with yellow ochre. Together, if you mix them together, you get a really pretty neutral. Okay. That one is about done, and I really like that. Now, what I could do is I can go back in with a darker, this is more like a buttery consistency. I can go in and I can just kind of add to my floral to give it some more depth. Kind of see. I don't want to add too much, but you can kind of see how adding a little one side to the floral can really add a little bit of depth that you're looking for. We're not be very strategic on where you put your pigment. I'll do one more. And now I'm going to blend all of those lines kind of together. Look at that. Just like that. I have a beautiful depth of color. And I'm going to do this. I'm just going to add a little bit more color here. Definitely down here. And that's just going to be dark. And then a little bit up here. And then I'm going to blend that out with some clean water. And I'm going in, and then I can there. That's looking really pretty. All right. One more. I'm going to go. Actually, I'm going to make that darker. Oh. It's a lot of just blending in the lines and getting more of that tone, the value right there. That looks good. And I would do the same on this side. Oops, that was more of a T. I want more of a milk-like consistency. And this one, because the there, I'm liking that. I'm doing that line. There, that's looking really pretty. I think I'll add dark. Like this is going to be more of like a milk or almost a butter. Like consistency. Because it's just darker because it's behind the petal, behind the first flower. There, that's blended and looking really pretty. Okay. All right, looking good. I'm going to leave this one kind of alone. I could add maybe more of a lighter wash, a tea wash, and just kind of go in. Maybe make this darker right in here. Yeah, I don't want to do too much. Yeah, it's looking really good. Okay, I'm going to walk away from this, and you kind of get the idea of how to paint that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pen, and I'm going to just start drawing, except for I should probably get my yellow on. I'm going to do the yellow afterwards. So the fun thing about doodling, and you could just, I don't know, really have fun. I really love to doodle florals. I actually have a class on that at the Fine Arts Cafe Academy. But I am just kind of free flowing, free handing it. If I wanted to see kind of I'm going with the idea of where the paint already is. And then I know that the petals like to kind of come in. So I'm going to add a couple of lines. I don't need very many, just enough to form the petals. I hope that makes sense, to give the petals more shape or form. So I don't want to overdo it. That's the other thing. Okay, so this one is really fun. I'm going to just kind of make that into like a little V. Make that into a thing. I kind of already have lines. They're very loose, but I think they'll work. Yeah. And then here's another one. I could spend all day doodling flowers. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to buy stamps, but I tell you what, I have my fair share of stamps, but look at how fun that is. And it didn't take me very long, and it's just fun to doodle. You could also add some texture, which, I'm all about texture too. Maybe I'll do that to this side too. There, yeah, like that. And then, most stamps are like sketched, and then Illustrator you'll clean them up, clean the sketch up in Illustrator. So you're not really getting that sketchy look, which is great if you're wanting that. But I always like the sketchy look where it looks like an artist actually drew. Okay, one more. it's kind of nice to have pencil lines. You don't have to. Like, I'm very loosely using the pencil lines. I can see them. You probably can't on my camera, but anyways, there's the bookmark. Maybe if you see it this way, there's the bookmark. Now I have enough space to write a sentiment right here, and I have enough space not to write. I'm going to stamp. I'm definitely going to stamp a sentiment. I'm not going to, you know. Yeah. And then I got a sentiment right here or a spot right here that I can paint and make a sentiment on. I see a couple of issues here only because I'm the artist. But other than that, I can't complain too much. Okay. And then I'm going to just add some of that little bit of green. Again, this is a bit more loose and fluid, but there we go. And then I will put sentiment right here and call it done. So you can do lots of different flowers. This is another one I just did with hollyhocks. I took the stamp of hollyhocks and I stamped it on this side, and then I flipped it over and I stamped it on this side. And that's what I did here. I stamped one on this corner and then I flipped it over and I stamped that same thing right here. So you kind of see how that works. And so you can get a lot of bang for your buck that way. Yeah. So anyways, I hope this gives you some things to look at, and I hope that this gives you some ideas on how to paint something loose and fluid and fun. If you have any questions, let me know. If you painted Cosmos before, I'd love to see them on mine. It's really a Facebook group that I'm in charge of. It's called Watercolor Cards, and we have a lot of fun painting for our friends and our family, and we have brought lots and lots of joy to lots of people, and I'll send that in the link. And I am just looking at some comments. Yeah, that magenta color, Irene, is just gorgeous. I totally recommend it. I also love it in sunsets and landscapes. I don't know why it's not focusing very well, but I love it in the landscapes. Thank you, Barbara. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to go live today. This is something new. I'm going to try to do more lives. I think that they are really fun to do. But check out the Manganese Blue, because this Manganese Blue, I'll show you again. Here's the Quinn Magenta, which it is quite a fun color. But Manganese Blue, it's like a gorgeous blue, man, and I just love mixing it with the colors. The granulation, it's that phthalo blue definitely brings up. So if you were to add some green to it, it would almost be like a phthalo turquoise, which is one of my favorite colors as well. But I think I'll just play and make this into a bookmark since I've already started and it's halfway done. I like to, and then I'll doodle something on it. Why waste paint? I'm all about playing with color and seeing how we'll just make this very abstract like. And it does make a really pretty purple. And yeah, there we go. I think I'll make this into a bookmark of some sort. Maybe I'll doodle, or maybe I won't. I don't know, but it's fun and I enjoy it. And maybe you could add some sparkle to it. I'll add some of this hibiscus. I just like to play. Anyways, yep, that hibiscus paint just really adds a little bit of that sparkle. There. Okay, well, that's going to make for a fun wash of something. All right. Well, enjoy painting, you guys. Yeah, that manganese blue is wonderful. Thanks, Julie. um, yeah, I always love playing with Annalisia's colors, meaning colors that are on the same color wheel or on the same side of the color wheel. So it's hard to mess up purple and blue because even if you get out of the lines a little bit, you can totally make it happen into something else. But anyways, here are some books that I enjoy. I don't know if you're seeing it backwards or not. Again, I'm trying a new thing out. Everyday watercolor flowers. This helps with just watercolor. And then I'm a huge believer in drawing to become a better artist. So I have this wonderful book, and it's all about how to paint, how to get the shapes right. And then once you get the shapes right, you can really start to play with your colors and everything else. But getting shapes right, getting your lines right and your shapes right. Here's a circle flower that you could totally use for cosmos instead. I thought there was a cosmo. This is kind of like a cosmo. You could, but it's this. This is a great one, and I love Melissa Washburn. She is a artist from Chicago, and I just love her stuff. So you can tell that this book is well loved because it's well it's used. Anyways, I'll put those in the links as soon as I'm done. So give me a couple minutes for that, and I will talk to you guys soon.